I watched it knowing nothing at all about it other than the title. And I watched all 4 episodes in one viewing. I hadn't planned to do so, but I just went from one to the next. I thought it was, I mean, I think it's quite brilliant. I think you're absolutely right. I think it was quite right to say at the beginning, it deserves every award going. Firstly, it's important to say credit to Stephen Graham, who is the kind of, he's not just in it, but he's the co-creator of it. And he continues to do astonishing work. And I think he's a real force for good in the industry. And of course, he's working with Philip Barantini, who he's worked with before, memorably Boiling Point, in which we saw that the one-shot thing can be more than just a gimmick. What's really extraordinary about this, the very first episode, which is the episode which we heard there, in which the police turn up and do the arrest, the one-shot thing really I found it almost like having a panic attack being in the house as all this stuff was going on. But the thing that's really smart about the series is that I think you did with Boiling Point, you start not thinking about that format at all. In fact, I was watching it for quite a while before I realized that that's what it was doing. I hadn't gone into it thinking, oh, it's a one-shot drama, because I said I knew nothing about it at all. And I think that it talks about a really complex issue in a way that is never patronizing, never trying to simplify something which is really complicated. I mean, I think, you did a very good job of saying to the two interviewees, you tell us what it's about. And the subject which comes up is, it's about, at least on one level, it's about male rage. And it's important that, for example, the name Andrew Tate appears only fleetingly and never by the central character, because it's talking about a much wider thing than that. It is talking about a kind of culture in which it is possible for somebody who's, his home, no one is more astonished than his parents at what is happening. But during the course of it, you start to realize that all these things have influenced him and been influences on him. And he has sort of been, marinated in this stuff that they just didn't or don't know about. And I found it devastating, honestly. I was completely gripped by it. I thought it was really intelligent and really, as you said yourself, it's the beginning of a conversation. It's not the end of a conversation. I mean, God bless Jack Thorne. He's a great writer, and he does know when not to fill stuff in. He does know when to present stuff. And then as far as the performances are concerned, I mean, yeah, like you say, not a single duff performance from seasoned professionals to somebody who is on camera for the first time in this incredibly challenging role. And I think the most important thing is that it doesn't go for easy answers. In fact, it doesn't go for answers as such. What it goes for is inquiry. And I watched it a few days ago now, almost 7 days ago, and I don't think there's been a day since I saw it that I haven't thought about it. I thought it was every bit as good as you said it was in the beginning of that interview.
I think, and the episode 3, which is where Erin Doherty's character is with Jamie, played by Owen Cooper, because it's the one take thing. It's easy for people, and I've read some people say it's a gimmick, and it's showboating and that kind of thing. But the effect in that room where the clinical psychologist is talking to this child is that it makes it even more intense. There are no cutaways. There are no establishing shots. You don't come out of the room and then go back in again. It just ramps up what is an extraordinary conversation. So I found it very interesting when Erin was talking about, he coughs and so he has a glass of water and all that. Yeah. That's all part of that experience. And it makes the kind of explosive nature of that conversation even more powerful. I messaged I emailed Jack and just said how much I'd enjoy it. And he said that that kid, he said, took on the whole show and won. Episode 3 was the first one that they filmed. And he said rehearsals were a magic show. And you can imagine if you've dreamt this up, and you're watching this stuff appear on the screen, I just think it's an unmissable experience. And it will be terrifying for some parents, but not because it's gruesome, not because it's gory, not because it's explicit or anything. It's just not knowing what goes on behind the door when your kids shut the
Yeah.
door and
And
go
also
online.
not because it's because what it doesn't do is it doesn't do one of the things that, oh yeah, violent dad or something like that. It doesn't do any of that at all. There's an episode in which Stephen Graham is sort of dealing with the fallout of this, and there's yes, he has anger, but there's never any sense of his character being reduced to just, oh, that's what he was. He was an angry. There's the thing about, well, was your dad ever violent? Well, once he tore down a shed. Yeah, that's the level of it. But I think it's I mean, it's so well balanced. It's so thoughtful, and yes, horrifying because it needs to be, but also completely empathetic. Whether it's empathetic or empathic, I'm sorry, my English is not very good.
Empathetic, I think, is
Empathetic,
but
empathetic. You there are moments when you sort of recoil from it because you can't get your head around it, and then there are other moments when you're just you are literally in the room with them, and yeah, it is as you said, it deserves every award going if there's any justice in awards.